All right, we're live. Hey, I want to welcome everybody to the show. I have an unbelievably special guest on today, Mr. Hank Norman. I'm going to bring you on in here, Hank. Thank you for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Ken. Thanks for having me, dude.
Man, I reached out to you, I think it was about a month or so ago, and I said, dude, you like completely blew my mind with a video I just saw of you and Grant Cardone. Like it was insane, and it's the one about pick one thing.
Right.
And it blew it literally. Here I am, almost 50 years old, and I thought I had this all figured out until I watched that, and I was like, damn, no, like don't do that to me, man. So I'm very, very grateful that you're on here. Look, this is I try to keep this like not really like an interview, but like just lighthearted, So, let's talk a little bit about, I always like to know like where somebody started, where they grew up, I mean, did you grow up in New York or?
No, that's what makes me living here awesome. I'm a country boy. I'm from Maryland. I just had to get out of the town I grew up in just to escape, and New York is where I landed. So.
Oh, wow. Maryland?
Yeah, the Eastern Shore.
So did you grow up on a farm?
But soybean, literally a stone's throw to that way, and end of the road, 3 acres of land to the bus stop, corn and soy right in the middle of all the fields.
And they switch it every year, right? One year soybeans, next year corn.
Yep.
Yeah, I grew up in the country as well. So, what are some of, I guess, like when you were growing up, because I think, personally, I think that, our childhood kind of, there's always some defining moments in childhood that kind of like, I don't know if it dictates it, but it kind of defines what we become as adults in a sense. So if you look back like in your childhood, what are some of the things that you saw that are like those defining moments that kind of made you like who you are today? What influenced you to get into the business you're in?
I think it was mostly the impossibility, the lack of support I would get from home and my parents, that growing up in St. Michael's, Maryland, going to a public school where there's 70 people in the entire graduating class. And that idea that anybody from St. Michael's could make it out of there or be anything or do anything you wanted to do, the things that people say in Grant and everybody inculcated into 10X really believes and understands to some degree. And it's filtered out to, I mean, obviously today many more things are possible because of the phones and the internets and all the access and networking capabilities we had. But growing up in St. Michael's on the Eastern Shore of Maryland and growing up being born in the 60s and growing up in the 70s and 80s, and I didn't know, it was impossible to do any of the things that I dreamed of doing. And that idea of that was impossible, and my dad telling me no, that's what made me do it.
Wow. Dude, I can so relate to that. I mean, seriously, I can relate to that. That's incredible. So you went to a school. I went to a bigger school than you. I had 84 kids in our graduating class, I think. So it was literally in the middle. Our high school, and it still is in the middle of a bunch of cornfields.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that kind of. So I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. So it's that you can't do it thing that pushed you to do it anyway.
Yeah, it was. Well, here's some funny tidbits, and you can piece them together and build the story as you see fit. I was adopted. And so I always knew I was adopted. My parents told me the story of my adoption. So I always had this sense of, not that I didn't belong to, like, they're definitely my parents, and I didn't feel like an outcast in my family, but I always had this knowledge that I didn't really belong. I knew I didn't belong here. And of anyone who was in that town in St. Michael's, I had the same exact friends. I made my best friend on the school bus. Mr. Covey, the bus driver, made me sit next to Roger Henry because he was crying. He just moved from Venezuela and in kindergarten, and we sat next to each other on the bus in kindergarten, and we were best friends until we graduated high school. So that idea of that closeness, I never bought in. Like, I always felt like I'm supposed to be doing something else. I'm supposed to I don't want to be here. I don't want to stay here. All my friends, like, parents were also my parents were transplants. Like, we weren't third, fourth, fifth, sixth, eighth generation Eastern Shore people. My parents had moved there. And all my friends, their parents were watermen. Their parents before them were watermen. They got crabs and oysters out of the bay. Like, that's what they did. And that's what everyone expected of you, to stay on the Eastern Shore, something I talk about occasionally. You know, in a small town, in Maryland, is the top of Maryland is a straight line. That's the Mason-Dixon line. It's the South. And this idea that in St. Michael's, there was a meme of this idea of, like, it's not cool to get above your raisin. Like, don't think you're bigger than you are. Like, this is your station in life. Shit has to stay like this.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that. Like, no, don't tell me what to do. I fought against it.
I love that, man. I love that about you, man. That's one of the things that, you know, and just so everybody knows, no offense to anyone else that I've interviewed, but my wife literally said, I told Hank that she's like, this is my favorite interview that you're doing. She freaking loved you. And it's because you're so relatable. Like, you know, I think that most people can relate to that. And you've heard me talk about it. I'm sure that, you know, it's like, dude, fear stops so many people. And I think about, and I don't know if this happens for you, but I go to the little town. There was actually a song written in the 70s or 60s about the town I grew up in, Indian Lake, Ohio. And I go, if I ever go up there, which is like once per decade, and I'm only an hour from there, but I'll only get, I literally just get sick. Like, I can't stand it. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if that happens with you. Do you ever go back and visit where you?
I do. I actually, I don't miss it in the sense that I miss it, but how I grew up, like, I do have a sense of nostalgia. I do feel bad in the sense, like, I'm raising a daughter here in New York City, and I'm like, she's never going to know these crazy, weird, how it is to have nothing, how it is to not have a toy and to just use sticks from trees as from swords to guns to building forts. It's just like everything was a stick. Like, that's all. Not to sound, I grew up in the Depression, but my dad didn't buy us shit. Like, you just had to go outside and shut up. So we just had to make do.
Yeah. Wow, man. We grew up, I'm telling you, we grew up in very similar environments. That's so funny. So fast forward to, and so you went to school there. Did you go to college?
I did. I went, just inconvenience. My dad had been transferred my dad was a claims adjuster, drove around for a big company, Ohio Casualty at the time. And when he got transferred, he got transferred to the Philly office. And because I didn't know any better, I was so dumb, Ken. I literally was one of the dumbest people. And again, it's not all my parents' fault. It was the school didn't help. And we were coming up to graduation. People were like, where are you going? Where are you going to school? And I'm like, I never thought about it. I'm like, I don't know. And I literally just picked a school out of a hat. Like, I didn't see the campus before I went there. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
So I
went to West University out in Philly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because it was near my home. I didn't know what. I had no sense of independence. Dude, I didn't know anything. I was in complete reaction to life until I was about 32. I didn't do anything other than just react to what was going on. Right. I didn't have a plan. I mean, I had a plan because I knew I didn't that was a reaction. What caused me to act was my reaction to, I just don't like this.
Right. I get that. Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, I didn't go to college. In fact, in 12th grade, they told me that my lack of obtaining a biology credit was going to, like, force me to have to come back for a whole year. I was like, I got shit to do. I'm not doing that. Like, no. So, and for years, I kind of had that insecure feeling, like, man, I didn't go to college like so many other cool kids. But, I hear Grant talk about, and again, since then I've had a lot of college graduates work for me. But, like I remember I've heard Grant say, I've heard a lot of people say, like, college isn't really a necessity. Would you agree with that or no?
Yeah, and particularly today, like, my wife and I talk about it all the time. Like, my daughter's 8. Am I sending my daughter to college? I'm not sure. Like, that amount of money for what? Like, is it a necessity? No. Do you need it? I think it depends on what you're doing. Right. But I also think getting out and doing the thing you want to do sooner is way better than spending I needed it. Like, it was my separation and my independence in a shell. Like, if it wasn't for those 4 years, I don't know. I couldn't. I remember the second year after because I was so weird and lazy, and I claimed to hate it there. So I didn't re-up for my housing or anything. So when next year came around, because I didn't do anything again, they're like, "Oh, you lost your housing," and I'm like, "Oh shit, what am I doing?" And so I found off-campus housing. And, I'm like, okay, now I didn't have a meal plan, I didn't have anything. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go make dinner. I went to the store. I remember vividly, dude, this is how dumb I was. I bought a chicken breast. I bought a box of spaghetti and something else. And I walk upstairs to the kitchen in a house that was, all the rooms were rented to college students. And I take the chicken and I take the thing and I'm like, I don't know how to make chicken or spaghetti. I've never done this in my life. And there was a pay phone in the house. No, none of the rooms had phones. It was back when that wasn't so I got on the pay phone. I called my mom and I go, how do I make chicken and spaghetti?
Oh my God.
I didn't know how to do anything for myself. Nothing. I needed that time to just learn to be a human being.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. That's before the internet, so you couldn't Google it.
No, you had to call your mom.
Yeah, right. And hopefully have enough coins for the payphone. I remember carrying a beeper, like just a numeric beeper, and you'd get those random phone numbers, and you have to pull off and find a payphone, and like, holy crap! The kids today, people today don't know about that.
It's crazy, I know.
I know. But so at some point you got started in television and media. When was that? How did that all happen?
So that was the only thing that I kind of knew or wanted. So when I graduated college and I wasn't paying my landlord anymore, and I was living there illegally for like a month. And I heard she was coming to evict me or yell at me. I packed up all my thing. I literally think I passed her. She was driving to the house. I was leaving in a U-Haul. And I went down to a friend of the family. My cousins had a friend that used to come to the Eastern Shore. He lived in Falls Church, Virginia. And his dad used to be in the cabinet under Lyndon Johnson. They had this huge house in Falls Church, and he had this garage with a thing. And I literally just show up with all my shit, and I'm like, I'm living here above the garage. And so I moved to Falls Church, Virginia. For 1 year, I used to come home and take all my change and dump it in a jar. And so I lived on my change I used to ride my bike or take the metro into the district and and go to all the museums. And when my change ran out and I couldn't eat and I couldn't go anywhere, I was like, I got to get a job. And I go, where do I want to get a job? I want to work in TV. And
wow.
I went to at the time, and I think people still use temps, right? Like temp's a thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
At the time, because there was no internet and you couldn't just hire freelancers or whatever,
right.
Temp companies, everybody was using temps. Like if somebody left for a certain period of time, they used a temp.
Right.
And so I went to the 3 temp agencies in the District of Columbia, and I found one that was used by Black Entertainment Television. And I told them I wanted to work in TV, and twice they put me in a job at BET, and the second one was the assistant to the chief financial officer. And she a month after I was working there, she hired me to be her assistant. And I said, I'm not trying to be an assistant for the CFO. That's very nice of you, but I don't know anything about finance. I don't want to work in finance. And she's like, okay, here's the deal. You work for me 5 days a week here in the corporate offices with Mr. Johnson and all the VPs and everybody that's here. And on Saturdays, you can go be a PA on Team Summit in the production facility. And I'm like, deal. And that was my first job.
Yeah. What's a PA?
Production assistant.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So you started at BET.
Mm-hmm. In 89, 90, 91.
Now, somewhere I heard, and it may not be true, or maybe it is, but I heard that you had worked with Oprah at some point.
After I made it to New York, after The View, when I heard from my friend that I worked with Ronnie Selig, who was a mentor, and I worked with at The View, and then she told me that because Jerry and Oprah started Oxygen, Jerry Laybourne, and she says Jerry wants to start up a whole bunch of shows. They're launching a new women's cable network. So Ronnie and I were the first in the door at Oxygen. So yeah, I met Oprah, and I helped launch Oxygen, the entire network.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I vaguely remember Oxygen coming out. I thought, wow, how cool is it that my wife's asking questions in the comments. She's saying, how did you get from DC to NYC? Yeah, well, how did that happen?
That happened. This I've never really spoken about before, but at some point I guess I have to.
You don't have to. I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
I don't care. It's just never. This is more of a conversation, so I'm being conversational.
Right.
My boss, Antonia Duncan, was the CFO, and BET was going to go public. They were going public. They brought in Price Waterhouse to audit the books and take the company public. And she was telling everybody how rich we were going to be, because when a company went public, you got shares in the thing. Well, as that started happening, it started to become clear that, she was getting accused of embezzling money. And I got a call from Mr. Johnson, Bob Johnson, the president of BET, one Sunday night saying, Antonia had been fired, my boss, the CFO, I had been fired, the comptroller, the director of finance, all of the finance department had been fired because of this investigation. And
wow.
I was fingerprinted by the FBI, I was interrogated by the FBI. I had to get I struck an immunity deal with the district to testify against if I said the truth about Antonia and everything I knew, then there would be no charges filed against me.
Jeez.
So I was like, I got to get out of this town. I don't know if I can get another job in BET, or I don't know if I can get another job in this town, because the rumors about me, and it was like, the rumors were that me and Antonia were like this duo, because I was her assistant and I did everything for her.
Wow.
And so caught up in the rumor mill about how I helped embezzle millions of dollars from Black Entertainment Television.
Oh my gosh.
And I had started dating the secretary of the sales guy, James Ebron, ran sales out of New York, and I started dating, because I answered Antonia's phones, Heather answered James's phones, and we used to talk all the time. And I started dating Heather, and I was like, Heather, I'm moving to New York, dude.
Wow. So that a quick summary of that would be, it was a woman. No, I'm just...
And robbery.
What's that?
And Grand Theft. My boss went to jail for years.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Wow, holy crap. That's a crazy story, man. So you went to New York for
To escape the law.
You were a fugitive from justice. Yeah, you're like, hey, the biggest city on the planet, they won't find me there. I'm just another face.
Boy, was that right. I moved to New York, and I'm like, I worked in TV already. I was a PA on Teen Summit. I have experience. No one would hire me for years. I did the whole routine again. I'm like, I'll get a job as a temp. That didn't work. That doesn't work here.
Wow. So what'd you do?
So I broke up with Heather and I was a temp at Citibank in mortgage-backed securities before things blew up, obviously.
Yeah.
But I did know something was wrong because all these guys that were way dumber than me were multimillionaires, and all they were doing is packaging up mortgages and selling them to other banks. And I'm like, you're some of the dumbest guys I've ever seen, and you're driving Porsches and you're really rich, and I'm a temp here, and this is weird. And I started dating a secretary like 10 desks down. And when Maeve and I moved in together, Maeve used to see a shrink up on 72nd Street on the east side, and when she's walking back, she's like, I see this production facility, what turned out to be King World, where they taped Inside Edition, American Journal, and Rolanda at the time. Yeah. And she's like, I see people there. I'm like, dude, get me in there. So Maeve, this very cute Irish lass that I was dating, stopped in front of the guys that would hang out smoking in front of King World, and obviously got a phone. They gave her a phone number, and I called, and that's how I got a job at King World.
Wow, that's incredible, man. So I know you've worked with, well, we just talked about Oprah, but like Steve Harvey, you created the TV show The View, and you know, you've been around some big personalities, and you know, for those that don't know, and I don't want to paint the picture the wrong way by making assumptions, but I know that, you know, like you created kind of, I don't know how to word this. Like you played a big part in Grant Cardone's career, I know, and some other big names, and like, being around all of these big personalities, what do you think that all of that has done to kind of shape who you are or your career today?
Well, it was the biggest growth for me, similar as you said, like what I realized meeting Oprah, Tony Danza, having lunch with Regis. Like having lunch with Regis was just so much fun. And like, I used to oversee Regis and Kelly.
I love those two.
Right, me too. I was like, because we used to oversee Regis and Kelly, and it was like, we had so little to do because the Regis was so good. It was just so like giving Gelman notes just didn't make that much sense. And I just used to tell Ronnie all the time. Ronnie and I worked together again at ABC overseeing Regis and Kelly. And I was like, let's just take Regis to lunch. I just want to hang out with Regis. And hanging out with Regis, hanging out with Star Jones and I were best friends. Dude, I was a paralegal in college. I used to work for my uncle's law firm while I was going through college because I was telling my dad I was going to be a lawyer, but I was just lying because I didn't actually intend to do it. And so I was a paralegal. And Star and I were best friends. Like, I knew Star was on a path that was going to take the wrong way, but we were really best friends. And what I knew about Star and Meredith and Joy and Debbie and Tony Danza and everybody that I worked with, they're just regular people.
Yeah.
Like, nobody was like, here's the thing. Nobody was smarter than me. And I thought I was kind of dumb.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. You're far from dumb. I'm going to say that just in case nobody else does. You're far from dumb. So,
but you know what I mean? I grew up in St. Michael's. I was an average to not such a great student. I didn't know how anything worked. I couldn't figure anything out. I was always told everything was impossible. And I met all these people and I was like, these fucking people are just normal fucking people. They're not smart. They're not smarter. They're not gifted. They're just, here's the thing. They're doers. They didn't sit back and go, I don't know how to do it, or how do you do it? They just fucking started to do it in the face of having no fucking idea, which is the only place where I was rewarded. Right. When I was like, I'm working TV, I didn't fucking sit around and wait for motherfuckers to hand me TV jobs. I fucking made my girlfriend go show her boobs and get me a number.
Oh my God. I knew this. I knew eventually this was going to make this turn. I knew it. I've seen you do it, man. You just like you turn on. So, and I love that. And, you know, I've been like, I interviewed, as you know, I had a show on Grant Cardone TV for a while. And I interviewed Grant on one of those shows. And I was nervous as a hooker in freaking church, right? Like I was terrified. Like, oh God, we got Grant coming on the door. I couldn't, like, my tongue swelled up. But he's just a regular guy, you know? In fact, he told a story on it about how he may have had a little too much to drink and pulled his car between these two poles and it broke the mirrors, you know. It was funnier than shit. And so, like, you know, I think that people need to know. It's like when I reached out to you, man. I mean, you know, I'm sure you could call up, I don't know, 20, 30, 50 mega stars from your cell phone to their cell phone just about any time you wanted. So reaching out to you, even though we're friends, right, on Facebook and socially, was a little bit like, man, I'm going to reach out to a guy and tell him I have a show I'm doing and I want him to be on it. And he's like created major freaking shows. And what was one of the first things I said? I said, dude, if I screw up, don't call me out because I have no freaking idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. Right. And I think that's what separates people that make it from the people that don't. Most people that don't make it, like, sit around and look at people that do and go, man, he's so lucky.
Right. Yeah.
Right? It has nothing to do with that, man. You're just, I say it all the time. I'm just dumb enough to try.
And I get back to you. You're not dumb. I don't know how many clients I've started working with and somebody was like, oh, Ken Walls, you're a connector. You're a doer. I've talked to so many people. They're like, oh yeah, Ken Walls. I'm friends with Ken Walls. And I'm like, who the fuck is not friends with Ken Walls?
By the way, Lisa Copeland's on here. She said hi.
There you go. Lisa.
I love her.
Forget my Rolodex, dude. Your Rolodex. Dude, I'm the worst at networking. I'm hard. All the things I tell people to do and that you do, I do horribly. I'm lazy. I'm actually more introverted than I am extroverted. I don't like a lot of the shit that I have to do. The reason I know my business really well is because I'm like 90% of the people I work with. I'm reluctant talent. Yeah. I don't want to fucking press record, dude. Fuck press record.
Dude, I see I follow you on everything, and so I see your videos, and I hear, and you're just freaking like to the point. You're direct as hell, and I'm like, man, like I wish he would stop, like quit stalking me, man. Why are you making all your videos about me? Like seriously, man, I watch your videos and they like hit me. I'm like, why is he doing that? Why didn't he just like call me and say, Ken, I need you to do this instead of freaking putting it out on social media? But I know it's not, but you know, that's how unbelievable you're just that in tune with people and how effed up we are about hitting record, you know, about turning on. I remember, again, I've said it a million times, I use the nervous as a hooker in church thing a lot, but I remember, you know, Periscope, I would not go get an iPhone. I was an Android freak. I for some reason, I hated Steve Jobs, and I don't know why. Most people that are in computer programming at some point hated Steve Jobs for some reason. And so, like, I remember one of my graphic designers, he kept coming to me, and I had just learned about Grant Cardone, and Grant was going live on Periscope all the time. Well, Periscope wasn't available on Android, so this graphic designer who hated the fact that I didn't have Apple anything, he would come into my office with his iPhone and he'd go, "Hey, your boy's live right now," and I go, "Give me your phone." He's like, "Nope," and he'd turn around, walk away. I'm like, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" So I ended up getting, and I remember the first time I went live on Periscope, I was standing in my conference room and I was talking to some employees, and I'm like, "All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go live." And they're like, "All right." And I'm like, "Everybody get out." And then I was like, "No, one of you stay. I don't know what to do." I mean, I was freaking terrified, man. And I was like, well, what if the next wife or next girlfriend gets on, or like all of that shit that was going on in my head, man. And so that leads me to a question I have. Like, how do you, like, okay, your focus seems to be on creating success as getting attention, right? Like, that's one of the things you talk about a lot. How can a small business owner or just a salesperson or what, how can someone create success like some of your star clients? What would be the number one thing you would recommend to them?
It's simple, but it also has to do with the fear that you just talked about, which is what's stopping everybody, which is you don't need tons of advice, and you probably don't have it objectively just starting out. Just start talking about what you're up to. Literally let people into your life, what you do. I've had this conversation thousands of times, and people seem to not be able to answer it. What do you do? What do you actually do? What do you have other people do? What actions? Not what's the result, necessarily the result of your help and advice and product. That's awesome. But what do you actually do? Like, what is it in your daily life? How do you affect change in other people? What are you doing, or what are you having them do? If you show me that, if you record that, if you talk about that, that's enough to get you the attention, because now you're solving every problem at the same time. You're letting people know you're an expert at this thing, and I get to see you do it, but you're also letting me in. You're letting me see your personality. We buy from people we know, like, and trust. A video of you in motion helping solves all your fucking marketing problems for the rest of your life.
I love that, man. So second part to that, though, because, there are people, and I know you see it, and I see it, there are people, and I'm guilty of it myself, there are people that are going live a lot, and they talk, some of them it's like freaking gibberish, what's the point, right? So what do you see as one of the big mistakes people make when they do go live? Because you can get attention, but you can also quickly lose the attention as well. And I've experienced it, right? So what is it that you would say the biggest mistake is that people are making, that are trying to, they're watching Hank Norman's YouTube videos and this, and they say, well, shit, okay, it's that easy, I'm going to go live and talk about the snow, or
okay. Back to that same, so what you're doing and how you're helping in the media, that's called an opinion. Like, an opinion in your area of expertise is how to solve a problem. Like, it's my opinion that pressing record is the beginning of you answering your obscurity problems. There's millions of ways to do it. You could buy ads. The guy that's telling you, and Russell Brunson saying ClickFunnels, they're not wrong. That's their opinion. That's their solve. That's their version. My version is fucking different. And here's the thing. There is no ClickFunnels. There is no Ezra. There is no Ed Milet. There is nothing, all these other levels, unless you do what I'm saying. You have to lead with your opinion, actionable opinion, information. Once you start a video, a live, anything, lead with that opinion. I don't give a shit about snow. I only care about things you know answers to. Start with that opinion line. That's how you get and keep attention.
Wow. I'm glad this is recorded. This is gold, man. This is gold. So, okay, and and again, my wife helped me with some of these, so I'm just gonna throw it out here. She's a writer. I don't know if you know that or not. She's a brilliant writer, by the way. I posted something she did yesterday. I was like, wow, it's about bullying, man. If you get a chance, look at it.
I'll check it out.
So she wrote this. You are a true power player, yet you have this uniquely relatable delivery that really resonates with people. How do you connect so easily? And that's a great question, actually, because how do you connect? By the way, people are saying they're getting an echo from, I guess, your side. I don't know. But how do you relate so well, so easily with people?
Well, I kind of I do kind of teach it to people. But the answer for me is I cheated. I was picked on when I was little. Like, I just don't care. Like, it's really awesome for you to say, and it's awesome for your wife, and it's awesome for people that say you're super relatable and we like you. But if you want to know the other side, go into the 10X GrowthCon ambassadors room and listen to the people that are like, I got up and left when Hank started talking. Like, there's tons of people that are like, this fucking guy. So when you have ultra relatability and you're yourself, that connection does happen very easily. But guess what also happens? People are like, I don't like you.
Right. That's true.
And I'm not worried about that.
How are you not worried about that?
The piece of my upbringing that I neglected to tell you was I was adopted. I was born with club feet. I had hard corrective shoes with a wedge in the heel, like a Forrest Gump, until like 3rd or 4th grade. Wow. That I wore hard shoes. I was teased mercilessly for, bullying. It was just part of my life, and I was just like, you can't tease. Like, so someone doesn't like how I spoke at 10X. I don't give a fuck, dude.
You know what I think is, hey, dude, why don't you get up here? Oh, that's right, you're not up here. Like, I was invited to be a speaker, you asshole. Like, anyway, I love that, man. People love to judge, don't they? Freaking love that.
And I'm down. I don't care. Like, here's the thing. Like, great, you don't like me or you don't understand what I'm saying. Like, cool. Like, you're not ready to receive me. It's like walking up to a chick in a bar and she's like, I don't like you. Cool. That just means now I know you don't like guys like me. There's chicks that like ugly dudes like me, so I'm just looking for a chick that likes ugly dudes.
I wouldn't put you in that category, man. So, I know you're a busy guy, man. I don't want to be on here all day taking up all your time. I'm so grateful that you said you'd come on, man, because I freaking love you, man. You're awesome. So, and Lisa, by the way, she thinks you and Steve both literally walk on water. So, and maybe you do. I've seen some of your stuff, man. So tell me about, Star Power, because I know you have a program, dude. You make stars.
I've taken everything. So I just started to eat my own dog food, and since the first GrowthCon, since a year and a half, where I was like, I can't sit around and say, hey, I make people famous and get them attention, and I'm not doing it for me and my company. So creating the coursework, speaking more, making more videos, being more active in social media is me just saying, I'm going to also do this. And it's been helpful in many ways. Me role modeling for people, me learning for not just the first time, but actually trying to get really good at these things. So Star Power is the culmination of me saying, here's everything I know. Here's the thing about Star Power. Like, if you actually take that course, it's so intensive. If you can get through Star Power in 8 months, it will change your life. It'll change your business. It has everything I know. And it's spun in such a way that, because I've tested it on so many people and changed it based on how to get you to get the results when I'm not there to push you. Yeah. If you actually complete the fucking course, dude, it will change how you do everything.
Wow. I know Jason Howland is a good friend of mine. I know he's on the course, and he's he just raves about it. So Michelle Prescott, she said she loved Star Power. She's in here too. Do you have Facebook open or no?
No, I'm just with you. And
so I want to give people. I'm going to give just a couple minutes, if you're all right, for people to throw down any questions that they may have. My wife just said, "Let people ask questions."
You have a good producer.
Yeah, I told her. I said, "You need to be in here." Like where, like you know. So they what with the Star Power program? What's the number one thing that you think people could expect from the program? That's the first part of that question. Second part is, how do people get it? I'm going to put the web address up on the screen as soon as you tell me what that is.
You can just go to hanknorman.com and it'll take you right there.
Oh, okay.
The biggest thing that I've come to realize, everything I do is about one thing, and that one thing is seeing you do what you do. And it really comes down to, regardless of what you do, if you're a baker, if you're a plumber, no matter what you do, in order to help other people, you have to be able to teach other people. In order to be successful in the media, you have to be able to take your knowledge and hand it to other people. That all starts with you as a coach. You have to see yourself. Everybody keeps saying, and everyone said for quite a while, you have to see yourself as an expert. Yes, that's a piece of it. Here's the diamond that nobody understands, that I don't think I've ever really articulated this. Honestly, Ken, I've told you 7 things that I've never said before. To your credit, you actually do have a very good interview style.
Wow. Thanks for that.
Seeing and understanding your job as a coach and actually working with someone face to face, one-on-one, and recording that process. My program walks you through how to do that. When you see yourself coaching, you come up with tips, you see advice you give, when you see yourself, because here's the reason, just like I said, for the first 30 some years of my life, I was in reaction to the world. That's how we work. When someone comes to you and asks you for your advice, you answer their questions. If somebody said, sit down in front of a blank computer screen and write down everything you know about the thing you know about, where the fuck do you start?
Right.
It all starts when you sit down and problem solve in real time with someone and record that process.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of you becoming a media star.
Wow. That's insane, man. I'm still trying to process your compliment. Like, holy shit. Wow. So, I don't know if you want to throw it out or not, but I think that the Star Power course is pretty damn affordable, isn't it?
I have no idea why we have not raised the price. Either everyone around this office I don't do, because now I am lucky enough to have a staff, but now in the bureaucracy of Two Market Media, the price is still the same dumb price below $500 that Grant made us lower it to. And I've been selling it for years at like $1,200. Like it's
below $500.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Man.
And it's not just, it's Star Power U. It's the first course I did, the second course I did. It's 2 other things. Like, it's so much information. I really do have to stop them from offering it.
Well, how about this? Give it 24 hours at least, man. Cause I think there's some people on here that freaking need it, man. I mean, people need it.
Whether you buy it or don't buy it, it's the difference between you understanding what you really do and how to talk about it in a public space. You can't know what you stand for and who you are until you see yourself. And I walk you through this process I've developed with thousands of people, experts and entrepreneurs, and said, this is how you grow and scale and get to see who you are and start how to talk about it in a public space. Whether you do it or don't do it, everyone needs it, by the way. I need it. It's me seeing me work with people has been the thing that's elevated me in my craft, without a doubt.
Dude, I'm telling you that, I personally know Grant. I personally know Lisa. I personally know, I don't know Steve Harvey yet, one of these days. But I know some of these people, man, and you have created some badasses. You've helped them dig deep. I've actually, I did, because I had that show on Matt Monero's network for a while. And I did some, I don't know if I think you know this, but Janie Moon, I did some one-on-one coaching with her. Holy mind blown shit, man. Like, she knows her shit, like, big time. And I was like, and Janie works with you at 2 Market, right? So yep. like it's, and what's her official, like, it's like media coaching? Is that it? Like,
but she's my lead trainer. I have like 3 or 4 other people that I use, but Jenny has been my number one for 7 years.
Dude, she is freaking unbelievable. I still have the recordings of her working with me, and I was like, she's like, now we're gonna record this, and you're gonna, and then you're gonna do, and I'm like, I'm gonna what? I'm gonna, like, it was, but like the things that I learned, and I was thinking about, somebody said something about it the other day, and I was like, oh my God, like that's where my freaking online self, like, my life changed, because she helped me so much. So, you know, and that's with, like, I haven't even taken the Star Power course yet, but I'm going to. We're gonna be working together on some things. I have a suspicion. So, look, I'm not gonna take up any more of your time. My wife is dropping all of your links into the comments.
That's so sweet.
She loves you, man. She does. So, I won't be bringing her to New York with me. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. She loves you. I want to come out and meet you and bring my wife out and you know, hang out for a minute. But, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to anybody? 'Cause, like, you're a genius, dude. I don't care what anybody else says.
I appreciate it. So here to steal from Bradley is the bottom line, that what you're doing, Ken, is the thing everybody needs to emulate even more than me. If there's a real genius here, it's you, in that connecting, doing, pushing, being the hub of people is what Star Power is about. Connecting and make that connection. I teach people how to make a connection with other people because I'm horrible at it. So I've had to learn it, and I can teach other people. So I'm very envious of people like you who actually have it as a natural gift or actually enjoy it, which is weird to me. So.
Dude, there's, you know, I don't know what that is. Maybe it may be the same thing. You know, I went many years as a raging alcoholic, and so, you know, being 16 years sober now, and like, it's just kind of like my life purpose and goal to help other people. And you know, I want to bring people onto this show, and I told you it's going out on the Binge TV network, and I'm like, I want to make something that when somebody watches Hank Norman on my show and they go, Jesus, I just found out who the hell I am for the first time in my 50 years on this planet because of Hank Norman, and I helped deliver you like that. That's what it's about for me, is like, wow, man, we can impact the freaking world in a positive way. So, man, I'm grateful for you. I'm very, very grateful. This has been awesome, man. I couldn't sleep last night, just so you know. It was like this like Christmas freaking morning for me, man. So thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody who came on, whoever shared. Thank you. Yeah. So. Yeah, Jill said, so not a fan of anyone, but I am a fan of this one. My wife just said that. So, yeah, man. So, anyway, all right. Well, listen, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for everything, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it, man.
All right. We'll see you guys.
You got it.